everybody, how are you in these really difficult times? How much nicer would it be if we were in RHA offices now, having a cuppa and a chinwag catch up and just talking through this decant policy rather than having to do it by video, but needs must at the moment. So thank you for your time, firstly. Today we're going to be looking at the decant policy, which I've recently rewritten. And I'm just going to talk to you today about the key points to make sure that I highlight those. But obviously I'd like you to consider all aspects of the policy to make sure that it's fair and consistent and complies with legislation. So firstly, what do we mean by decant? Well, without wishing to be patronising to anybody, because I'm sure most people have heard of that term before. In the context of this policy, what it means is when RHA has to move a tenant from their existing home to another property, and there can be all sorts of reasons for that. So there are three main types of decant which I've highlighted in the policy. So the first one is a temporary decant. Example of this would be where we need to do major works to a property, which would be intrusive, messy, unsafe potentially for the tenant to stay there, or perhaps just actually impossible for the works to be done whilst the tenant is in situ. So in those circumstances, we would find an alternative property, the tenant would be moved out temporarily, and then when the work was completed, they'd move back into their home. So the next type of decant is a permanent decant. And an example of where we might have to do this is where we come across a property that potentially needs so much work doing to it that it's actually a decision is made. It's not cost effective to do that work. So in those circumstances, we would move the tenant out to a new home permanently. Obviously, they wouldn't be going back. And the third type of decant that I've highlighted in the policy is an emergency decant, where we have to move somebody out because there's been a flood or a fire, and obviously they can't stay in their home. And we've had incidents of that in the last year. We've had a fire in one of our homes which has spread to the neighbouring property. We've had 4 properties that were flooded earlier this year, and we had to move those tenants out, to move them out quite quickly and support them with that move. This policy sets out how we will seek alternative accommodation, work with our tenants to find a property that is suitable to their needs, and hopefully in a location that doesn't cause too much disruption for them and their family. It talks about how we will support them and about the varying levels of support that may be required depending upon an individual's needs as well. Finally, I guess we want to talk about how we compensate tenants when they're in this situation. And there are 2 types of payment that may be payable under the Land Compensation Act of 1973. If you are subject to a temporary decant, then you would be allowed something called a disturbance allowance, and that is payable to tenants to compensate them for reasonable costs for moving. And in the policy I've highlighted a whole list of allowance of costs, which the Land Compensation Act deems to be reasonable. The other type of payment that is payable, and this is for a tenant who is moved permanently, is a home loss payment, which is a statutory payment. And the amount that we have to pay somebody for losing their home is not set by us. It is reviewed every couple of years to ensure that it's in keeping and in line with the cost of living. So it does increase. I don't think it's every year. I think it's every few years that it's reviewed to make sure that it's current and is fair. Also, if you're going to be moved permanently, you would get the disturbance allowance as well as the home loss payments. I think really those are the key points that I wanted you to consider. So yeah, it's the whole process, is how we do it, what's payable, and really what I wanted to consider is a couple of questions. Is it easy to understand? Is it written in a language that people can understand? Is it clear? Does it go far enough in setting out what we will do? Is it going to be fair? Will it allow us to be fair and consistent? And what we acknowledge in the policy is there will be some areas of discretion, because in housing management you will always find that no situation is black and white. There are always shades of grey, so there's always got to be room for a little bit of discretion. So we've covered that in there as well, I think. And is there anything missing, really? If you could have a read through, if there are any points that you want some clarity on, or you want to discuss further with me before you provide any feedback, I'd be more than happy for you to give me a call to discuss. It's 07576 811 758, or you can email me if you prefer. So it's annalisa.bevan@rhawales.com. I'd really love to hear from you. It would be really nice. I'm missing my RHA family and the extended RHA family. And finally, just thanks very much for your time. And I hope we can see each other again soon. But in the meantime, make sure you keep yourselves safe. Bye, everybody. Thank you.